Okay, welcome back to part 3 of our liner shipping strategies. And the third part is about internal and external growth strategies. So this is something we touched actually in the first part a bit quickly. Okay, remember organic growth versus inorganic growth. We're gonna see a bit more in a deeper way what these strategies involve and what are the pros and what are the cons. So what are we going to see for this presentation? Internal growth, owning or chartering. Second section is about chartering, particularly time chartering and bareboat chartering are the most interesting strategies for shipping lines. In the section 5 and 6, we will focus on external growth, particularly on shipping alliances that we again touch a bit quickly, and 6, merger and acquisition, M&A, which is a very important option for firms in general, but for shipping line to have a quick and speedy market growth. So the question that I would be happy to discuss with you are first, how can shipping line increase their fleet capacity? Second, what are the pros and cons when a ship owner orders ship, so a new vessel, buy a ship, therefore entering in a second-hand market, buying a used ship, or chartering a ship? What are the pros and cons? We'll see the benefit of alliances. Remember, pretty much 8 out of the top 10 shipping lines are today involved in a sort of alliance. And finally, we'll see the merger and acquisition strategies. Number 1, owning or chartering. So brainstorming at first. If we as a shipping line would like to own ships, what are our options? And if we do want to charter a ship, therefore perhaps we do not have the financial capabilities and we don't have to we do not want to have a heavy burden financially with banks. We want to charter. Therefore chartering means leasing a ship, renting a ship for a period of time. What are the options? These are all alternatives that are actually part of shipping line strategic decisions. So first, owning. What are the options? Well, owning, we have mainly 2 options, is ordering a new building, maybe in a Korean shipyard, in Goje or in Ulsan, or we can enter in a second-hand, in the second-hand market, therefore purchasing a second-hand ship. There is pro and cons for each of these options. Chartering, on the other hand, what are the options? We have voyage chartering, time chartering, and bareboat chartering. We will quickly see what this option means. From a shipping line perspective, for container ship, voyage chartering is not really an option. The favorite alternatives are the last 2 at the bottom here, time chartering and bareboat chartering. Once again, I'm not spending much time on this. This is a table we have seen in part 1. Okay, therefore I move to the next one. This is also the top 12 liner operators that we have seen in part 1. Okay. Therefore, the new building market is heavily influenced by several factors, which are financial, commercial, and political. Let me just quickly, go back to show you one thing over here. Is if you can see at the very last column where it says order book. Order book represent the number of ships that are being currently built for this specific shipping line. Okay, therefore Maersk, for example, okay, you can see that MSC COSCO and particularly CMA CGM have different ships on order. Evergreen, HMM, and Yangming also, and Wanhai at the bottom, they all have ships on order, okay? Therefore, we were saying there is several factors that have to be considered. Number one, financial consideration. That's very important when we enter into a new building contract. That's financially, it's a very important decision. There is also a commercial decision that need to be considered. And then we have political issues as well. For example, are there any government policies where the shipping line is able to obtain subsidies or favorable financial schemes, or is taxation or not? Well, these elements are very much influential. They're driving shipping lines and shipping companies in general decision on where to build ships. These are the advantages they're looking for. So in the case of new building, in case our strategy is to order new ships, what are the benefits? Number one, if we order a new ship, we can get the specification tailored according to the purchaser requirements. So the shipping line can pretty much tell the yard, the building yard, what specification need to be built. Number two, there is usually easy access to credit due to government or shipbuilders' incentive schemes. So the new building market is very much concentrated on China, Korea, and Japan. These three countries produce more or less 90% of merchant ships worldwide. And they all have different sort of incentive to attract ship owner. Number three, latest technology available. If you order a ship, you will be able to get the latest technology. This we will get back in the next session where we're going to talk about environmental issues. But one easy example are more efficient engines. More efficient engine means we get newer engines with the latest technology, and they're gonna be able to save us probably some money on fuel consumption. That's very important today. So the new building is actually a market that is very correlated with freight rates and the second-hand values. Obviously, the freight rates are determined by demand and supply and more generally by the world economy. And new building obviously follow very much the same pattern. When freight rates are high, generally new building activities are high. On the other hand, when freight rates and the market is depressed, new building are not so busy. We were saying there is implication with regard to ordering a new building when it comes to financing. First of all, there is the borrower ability to grant security. Second, the choice of shipyard. That's also a strategic decision. Do I prefer a shipyard which provide me speed rather than quality? That's a consideration. And access to credit is the third one, the third element. So the new building financing is mainly possible through bank financing to be paid full on delivery. Second, it's on seller's credit. So when payment or deferred terms is agreed and the builder provides for credit is the most common form of shipbuilding financing. But in both cases, the buyer will normally be requested to pay in installments falling at specified milestones, as we see in the picture below here. So every time there is a stage which is finalized from the yard, there is a payment due. Okay, this is a common one. For example, signing of a contract the shipping line will pay at 10%, steel cutting at 22.5%, the keel laying another 22.5%, finally the launching of the ship 25%, and the final delivery will result in a payment of the final 22.5%. The other option we were saying is the second-hand market. So in case the ship owner is not able to get any favorable financing from the bank or from the shipyard itself, it might divert its attention to the second-hand market. What are the price dynamics on merchant ship in the second-hand market? Once again, the second-hand market, as we were saying, is very much correlated to freight rates. Therefore, to really how healthy maritime transportation services are. When freights are high, we expect second-hand market to be high as well. Age of ship, obviously. Age of ship, a newer ship, the more expensive, older ship, the cheaper. Inflation also play a certain, that's also a driver for second-hand market. And finally, there is also ship owner expectations. Ship owner expectations are usually very much expressed on the paper market. Therefore, not on the physical market, but on FFA, freight forward agreements. That's where you really show your expectation with financial derivatives. So the financial implication of the second-hand market, the financing of second-hand ships remains the core of a shipping bank business. So to have access in the second-hand market, the ship owner will have to have corporate reputation. He has to show what's the expected cash flow and generally how healthy the financial sheets of the company are. And this was more true in the past than today, personal relationship with the bank manager. So the main sources for equity, therefore for capital, for funds of a ship owner are either retained earnings from past years or bank loans, is either way. So second-hand market, we have to look also on the other side of the coin. If there is a ship owner buying a ship, there must be another ship owner selling a ship. Why should a ship owner sell a ship then? Well, there is three main reasons. Number one ship owner might sell a ship for speculation because he bought the ship at a very low value and is selling for a higher value. The second reason might be a distress sale. The ship owner does not want to sell the ship, but is forced to due to his financial weak position. Third, there is more a policy, that's a strategy of a shipping company, which is renewing the age of the fleet. Therefore, there is many shipping companies which, because of efficiency and greening the company, they decide at a certain period to sell the older ships and replace them with newer ships. The advantages to purchase a ship in the second-hand market is that it's immediately available, not like in the case of new buildings. New buildings are not immediately available. It's 2 to 3 years waiting time when they're busy. So it's immediately available, which is a very big advantage in case the market is healthy. And the acquisition process in general is much faster. And let's move to chartering. This, remember, is the second option to increase fleet capacity. I either buy or I charter ships. Again, we go back to our favorite table of the top 10 shipping line, but now I want to highlight the fact that part of the fleet of the major liners is chartered. Okay? And you can see that the percentages, you see percentage charter, there is a percentage right here. It very much differ from shipping line to shipping line. I give a few examples. If you look at the top, Maersk is chartering 43.7% of their ships. On the other hand, let's look at number 2, MSC. MSC is chartering almost 75% of their fleet. As you can see, Maersk is very much preferring to buy new ships or acquire ship in the second-hand market. MSC favorite fleet capacity strategy is to charter ship. They charter 3 ships out of 4 on average. So very, very different strategy. But if we look overall, we can see that overall, all the top 12 shipping lines have a large percentage of charter ship and a percentage of owned ships. That makes sense. This is a way to diversify financially. What kind of charters are there available for ship owners? For ship owners, we have 3 major charter arrangements. Number 1 is a voyage charter. What does it mean? Voyage charter means that I lease one ship from port A to port B, and that is it. On a time charter, in the middle, I charter a ship for a period of time. That could be a short period, few months. For example, if I have some ships dry docking, I want to replace immediately that ship for 2, 3, 5 months. Or I can charter ship for 3, 5, 10 years. Also, we have demise charter. In this case, it's a sort of financing tool for a ship owner. I charter a ship from a ship owner for almost the lifespan of the ship, therefore for 20 to 30 years. So, time charter. I'm skipping voyage charter obviously because for a shipping line doesn't make much sense to charter a ship from port A to port B. We have, as a liner, we have to maintain schedule and frequency. Therefore, the favorite strategies for liners are time chartering or bareboat chartering ships. The time charter is a type of arrangement where the ship owner provide a designated ship to the charterer for a specified period of time. Why should we time charter a ship? Well, the time charter might be a ship owner who needs to enlarge his fleet, pretty much as we have seen from the table. We've seen that the top 12 shipping lines do follow this strategy. But the time charter could also be a speculator taking a position in anticipation of a change in the market. So there is someone that is thinking the market is about to go up, is locking in rates for 2 days and speculating tomorrow. The time charter might also be an industrial client that charter the ship for a long period of time. Okay, moving on, a few more insight on time charter. Time charter again can be for a short time or for a long time. Usually the charter, pay to the ship owner something called hire, which is a lump sum money on a daily basis for the use of the ship. And the time chartering cost, this is also quite interesting to be understood from a charterer perspective. Whenever a shipping line charter a ship, that shipping line will pay hire and will be responsible for covering voyage cost. So all these costs that occur in the port area, for example, port charges, stevedoring and so on, as well as bunkers, fuel, all canal dues. So these costs are paid by the charterer. Let's see bareboat chartering as well. Bareboat chartering. In a bareboat charter, the vessel is put at the disposal of the charterer for a very long period of time. And that's employed without any crew. So here is a major difference. The charterer will take over almost all of the shipowner function except for the payment of the capital cost. This means that the charter, if they decide to bareboat charter a ship, they have a full commercial control of the ship. A bareboat charter is not as common as a time charter arrangement, but it does occur in many instances. And here is the big difference. If a shipping line decides to charter a ship on a bareboat basis, they will be paying a higher, so a lump sum amount of money per day, calculated per day, but actually paid monthly or semi-monthly. And here is the big difference. Unlike time chartering, that the charter paid the voyage cost, so the port cost and the bunker cost, the charter will also be paying all these operating costs. Therefore, the charter will be responsible for paying the wages of the seafarers, the provision, repair and maintenance, store, lube oils, insurance, and overheads. So you can see here that the charter under a bareboat agreement has a much higher control of the ship. So, summary for internal growth. There are different options that are available for ship owners whenever they want to enlarge their fleets. Each of the options has got some advantages and some drawbacks. Each ship owner will have a different strategy, which will very much depend upon his size, fleet, mission vision, especially financial capabilities, and market expectation. So there is really, once again, there is no right-wrong strategy. It very much depends on who we are. Most of the largest shipping lines have a mix of owned and chartered ship. That's very important as strategy. To hedge the risk of chartering ships, shipping line might even diversify by chartering ship with different contractual length. Therefore, if we remember the table seeing where the shipping line were chartering a large number of ships, some of them will be chartered on a short basis, some of them will be chartered on a mid-term, and some of them will be charged on a long-term basis. Let's move to external growth. In this case, let's discuss about shipping alliances a bit in a deeper way, and let's discuss about merger and acquisition. So this is a different strategy compared to what we have seen so far about organic growth or internal strategy. Question to be answered. What is an alliance? Are all major shipping lines part of an alliance? What are the pros and cons of an alliance? What shipping lines have undergone merger and acquisition? Better undergoing mergers or acquisitions? So we try to answer these 5 questions in this section. First of all, shipping alliance. What is a shipping alliance? A shipping alliance is a group of ocean carriers joining forces to create a cooperative agreement from a strategic alliance covering various trade routes. Therefore, they are operating in different markets through cooperation between its members at a global level. As you can see today, there is 3 major alliances. We have the alliance at the top, where we have one, Ocean Network Express. In here, they are still described as 3 separate companies, but K-Line, MOL, and NYK have merged, and they are now one, Ocean Network Express. We have Hapag-Lloyd, the German one, and Yangbing, the Taiwanese. Then we have 2M, including Maersk and MSC. They are part of the same alliance. And finally, we have the Ocean Alliance, which includes CMA CGM, the French, COSCO, the Chinese, OOCL, which is a shipping line from Hong Kong, recently acquired by COSCO, and Evergreen from Taiwan. Why do we need actually shipping alliances? Why are shipping lines decided to cooperate with each other? Well, because in shipping we have very significant variable cost. 46% of costs for a shipping line are represented by bunker cost, so fuels, and 21% by port charges. So there is a lot of variable cost in shipping. So what is a way to lower this variable cost and really try to stay afloat in this difficult financial time? The one way is to use common resources, which means ships and terminals. Therefore, shipping lines create alliances. Why? Because they help rationalize resources and they can extend the service coverage. So a shipping alliance behaves pretty much in a similar way as a liner operation of an individual shipping line, but provide more coverage and more scope. Once again, what are the benefits of an alliance? There is a better allocation of resources. There is reduced operational cost. It allows for an expansion of the coverage and it helps optimizing port of calls. But in reality, what elements are part of an alliance and what elements are not? So elements that are not part of an alliance are sharing commercial information. I'm not sharing with my partner how much I charge. I'm not sharing with my partner cargo information. This is not disclosed. I'm not sharing shipping rates. And absolutely, I'm not sharing customer information. So as you can see the pictures of the two ships, we have on the top CMA CGM ship and on the bottom one ship by one, Ocean Network Express, the Japanese. So on board these ships, you might find containers from other shipping lines that are using CMA CGM ship space because they are partners. Similarly, CMA CGM will use the space of its partner for other shipping routes. Once again, we were saying these are the three alliances. Okay, we have 2M on the top, Ocean Alliance in the middle, and the Alliance on the bottom. The biggest one by capacity, combined capacity, meaning the alliance with more capacity in terms of container that can be transported, is the Ocean Alliance in the middle, with 3.8 million TEU and 38 routes served. Then we have at the bottom the Alliance with 3.5 million TEUs with 31 routes served and 249 vessels. 249 vessels means that Hapag-Lloyd, Yang-Ming and Wan together combine 249 ships, whose space on board can be shared among these three partners. Finally, at the top we have 2M with a capacity of 2.1 million TEU and 185 ships with 44 shipping routes served. Okay, a few more information about 2M. What is interesting, we were saying there is about 185 ships in partnership. What is interesting that in an alliance, there is no need for the members to come up with the same amount of ships. In fact, in this case, in 2M Alliance, Maersk is providing 55% of the capacity and 2M and MSC, 45% in 2M. Ocean Alliance. Ocean Alliance, we were saying it's the fleet is combined. They are pulling together 350 container ships for a combined capacity of 3.5 million TEUs. And these are the shipping routes, as you can see, of the Ocean Alliance. Okay, as you can see, they have truly a global coverage. Okay, they have different routes being served, particularly strong on the Asia, North America in red color, so the Trans-Pacific, the line in red, and particularly strong in the Far East coast of North America. They're pretty strong also on the transatlantic with the line in yellow. The transatlantic in yellow. And we move to the alliance. Okay, the alliance is particularly concentrated on the Trans-Pacific with 11 routes, and transatlantic and Trans-Pacific as well. So a short summary of alliances. Being part of an alliance in this period of time is advantageous. Why? Because really alliances can take care of cost. They can reduce variable cost. And it allows to share resources among members. Resources, we mean ships and terminals mainly. They are able to reduce operational cost, increase market coverage and frequency. There are three major shipping lines in the liner industry today. We have seen 2M, the Ocean, and the Alliance. Currently, the bargaining power of an alliance is extremely high with port and shipper. Why? Because once again, the market is very concentrated. This is one of the implications that I think are interesting. If you are a port manager working for a transshipment port and you are served by few shipping lines and which are part of an alliance, and your port service is not very efficient, is not very fast, it's very risky business, because as the market is extremely concentrated, if this alliance change the mind and call another port, pretty much the business is over, because there is not many players. Shipping alliance are cooperative agreement with a defined contractual period and can therefore change and reshape over time. So alliances are not forever agreements. They have a deadline with a contract in place. For example, 2M alliance, if I remember correctly, is gonna expire in 2025. Therefore, they can change and they can be reshaped. Imagine whenever there is one shipping line acquire another shipping line. What happened to the alliance if they are competing alliances? They are reshaping, therefore. A few open questions that would be nice to be discussed with you. Are shipping alliances the future of shipping? Well, my personal view on the issue is that certainly alliances, until we have better times, will still continue to be very strong and in existence. How many shipping lines and alliances will be left in the future? If you look at past figures with regard to alliances, there were at least 5 or 6 alliances. Today we have 3. And now we are coming to that. If merger and acquisition processes is continuing to be strong, what's going to happen to our alliances? How many shipping lines will be left? Perhaps we'll be left with 3 or 4 very large shipping lines in the future. And we go to the very last section, which is about merger and acquisition, commonly known as M&A. So the definition of merger and acquisitions. Merger and acquisition is the area of corporate finance, management, and strategy dealing with purchasing and or joining with other company. What's the difference? Merger. In a merger, 2 organizations or more than 2 organizations join forces to become a new business, usually with a new name, usually done by companies of similar size. And for example, to give you a few examples in shipping, remember we were saying one, Ocean Network Express. In 2015, there were 3 major Japanese shipping lines, NYK, MOL, K-Line. In 2016, they merged. And this merge had sense, was significant, Culturally, this company were very similar. The market share was somehow similar, and the financial capabilities were also not very different. Therefore, there was a merger that made sense. On the other hand, an acquisition. In an acquisition, one business buy a second one, and generally, smaller company which might be absorbed into the parent organization or run as a subsidiary. So usually acquisitions are performed by a larger company acquiring a smaller one. And that's a very fast way to grow compared to chartering or ordering new vessels. So let's see a few things to compare merger and acquisition. The meaning, we discuss about that. Formation of a new company, okay, here the second row. With the merger, there is a formation of a new company. Usually a new name is given. On the other hand, whenever there is an acquisition, there is not formally the formation of a new company. Usually it's the biggest company taking over the smaller one. What's the nature of the decision? In a merger, the mutual decision of the companies going through mergers. In the case of an acquisition, the acquisition can be friendly or hostile. So perhaps the smaller company might not even agree with the bigger company to be acquired, but that could be an hostile acquisition, for example, through the stock market. The purpose of a merger to decrease competition and increase operational efficiency. An acquisition, what's the purpose? It's for a very speedy, instantaneous growth. I want to grow quickly. Maersk is one example of a company that has quickly grown because of acquisition throughout his history. Size of business. In the merger, generally, the size of merging company is more or less the same. In an acquisition, the size is different. One large company acquiring a small company. Legal formalities, there is a lot of legal formalities in a merger, less in the case of an acquisition. So, going back to the liner shipping industry, what are the main key ideas for going through a merger and acquisition? Increase fleet capacity is number one. I want to grow quickly. Achieve cost saving through delivering synergies and long-term strategic advantage. Number three, cost saving through economy of scale. I get bigger, therefore I can enjoy economy of scale and delivering a cheaper service at the end. Smarter operation with increased volumes, so we have a better network utilization, and we might have wider geographical coverage, better if complementary. To give you one example, Maersk in 2016 acquired Hamburg Süd. And Hamburg Süd was a very specialized and concentrated shipping line. They were very good in cold chain logistics. They were operating container ship with reefer container. And they were very strong in the South America, North European market. Maersk acquired Hamburg Süd because for them was very much a complementary business. Maersk was able to quickly expand in this segment. But there is a few questions that we might leave it open. Is it easy to retain the customer of the two lines if we go through a merger or an acquisition? Are we sure that the older customer will stay with us? One example, One Ocean Network Express, when the three companies merged, there was very challenging times in terms of integrating the business. Lots of customers left. Merger and acquisition of two shipping lines with different culture and management style, is it easy? So acquire, for example, a European company acquiring an Asian company. Are we sure that all the processes are going to be smooth in terms of culture? Maybe not so easy. There is a lot of careful planning, which is necessary, and there is communication with all involved parties, which can be very challenging. So consolidation, what has happened? What has happened? Consolidation seemed to be the way forward amid rough sea in the shipping industry. And a lot has happened in 2016. A lot of merger and acquisition happened in 2016 because there was overcapacity, so there was more ships than cargoes. Overcapacity, there were too much supply in the market, too many ships, and not business for everyone. And as you can see here at the bottom, as Lars Jensen, which is the chief executive of Sea Intelligence, it's a well-known consulting firm in the shipping industry, he mentioned the few players that will be left outside will either try to join in, so enter in alliances, merger and acquisition, shrink, so become smaller and become regional operators, or really become bankrupt. Hanjin is one example of a shipping line that unfortunately is coming from Korea, but there is a lot of lessons that can be learned from Hanjin, which went bankrupt. We were saying 2016 is one year which has been very significant in terms of merger and acquisition. In the market, we can remember that as 5 weddings and 1 funeral. Number 1, we had the merging of Japanese top 3 liner container operation, NYKL, ML, and K-Line. Number 2, China Ocean Shipping and COSCO merged. So we have had 2 mergers. In China, 2 shipping lines become 1. In Japan, 3 shipping lines become 1. Number 3, Maersk acquisition of Hamburg Süd. We were saying Maersk acquired Hamburg Süd, which was a very specialized and concentrated line to have a complementary business. Number 4, CMA CGM acquired APL, American President Lines. Number 5, Hapag-Lloyd, the German shipping line, acquired United Arab Shipping Company, WASC. And we had Hanjin failure. So we had 5 weddings and 1 funeral. And these slides show us the merger and acquisition history. Okay. For example, if you look at Maersk, right here, if you look at Maersk, in 1997, Maersk P&O acquired Ned Lloyd. Sorry, that was before Maersk. In 1999, Maersk underwent their very first major acquisition, acquiring Sealand. Then in 2005, Maersk acquired P&O Ned Lloyd. That was a second major acquisition of Maersk. And then in 2016, Maersk acquired Hamburg Süd. So throughout the history of Maersk, which is number 1 shipping line worldwide, there is a clear strategy of external growth. Maersk has decided to go for speedy growth. Unlike MSC, MSC has also grown quite quickly for different reasons, but MSC's strategy has been to go for internal growth. Lots of chartering, lots of charter ships, and lots of acquisition of new ships and second-hand ship. So we can compare the strategy of number 1 and number 2 shipping lines. So the conclusion for this part about merger and acquisition. Merger and acquisition is nothing new in shipping. We have seen that this is dating back since the early 90s. It is a strategy for pursuing inorganic growth to increase fleet capacity and or penetrate a specific market by gaining know-how. There has been an unprecedented wave of consolidation in 2016, in which the top 10 shipping lines control about 90% of the market. So the market is becoming more and more consolidated. Consolidation is to continue. How many shipping lines will be left over? So this is the same question that we were asking ourselves. Certainly consolidation will be continuing in the future, and there is an open answer really on how many shipping lines will be left over. This had a huge impact for port operations, Port operators today do not have many customers as in the past. They have bigger customers. But if you lose one of them, perhaps it's very hard business. This is the end of my third presentation, and I will get back with the fourth presentation shortly. Thank you very much.